An academy prospect wants to leave for better football elsewhere. I mean, does this story ever get old for West Ham? Does it ever get old for West Ham fans? The amount of players over the years we've had that have either gone to other clubs or just refused flat out to play for Moyes because they're not getting regular game time, refuse to sign these contracts. The amount of players over the years that have done this is absolutely incredible. And it's not just Moyes, to be fair, but a lot of it has happened while under David Moyes, especially under the Sullivan reign. And I just can't, it's just happening again. And I just think it's so incredibly stupid because we literally call the Academy of Football and we can't even keep an academy player. You know, in the recent years, we've had some very good academy players come through, and the only ones who've actually sustained their time in the place is Declan Rice and Ben Johnson, who should be leaving in the summer as well. And don't get me wrong, there's not a lot of clubs that do play their youth players, and the youth players have managed to, work their way up and have been able to, get a starting spot in a lot of teams. But a lot of sides give their players a chance at least. A lot of sides like, Spurs, Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea literally base their entire livelihood on young players that have come up from their academy. Manchester United, Manchester City, the amount of players, young players who've been allowed a chance to, maybe they don't work out, but they've been allowed a chance at the club. And of course, you've got another player now who doesn't want to play for West Ham. Supposedly, he's turned down a new contract. And I can imagine probably he will end up going somewhere else, even though he's, young, exciting star who scores lots of goals, not been given a chance at all. We played in pre-season. We've been dire in the last couple of games, and he's not even made the bench. I've got a quote here from ex-Ovitch employee. We can confirm that Divin Mubama has turned down a contract at West Ham. As we alluded to on the podcast, we felt that academy players could start to turn down new deals if their path to the first team was not clear. This, of course, has been proven today and also backs up what we felt about Mubama, and he could become very frustrated soon. We also believe that Mubama may have changed agents recently too. We contacted the club and had the story confirmed by our top sources who said he's turned down a fabulous offer, which is very sad. However, we are still in discussion. So, again, it's deja vu for West Ham fans. You get a young, exciting player that you're desperate to see do well. I mean, the love for football fans and academy players has always been there. It's entwined, They might not even play well and they might not even actually, have any sort of future at the club. But for some reason, the idea of an academy player building his way up, getting into that first team. I mean, Manchester United must be living the dream, seeing an academy player work his way up, go up to, under 21s, under 18s, wherever it is, score a goal against your rivals on his debut practically, and then score 20 goals a season or whether it was last season, to have someone like Marcus Rashford playing for your club week in, week out. I mean, it must be amazing. And it's why we fell in love with Declan Rice so much, for being an academy player. It's why we just love academy players. We love the idea that these players can build themselves up, just burst onto the scene and play for West Ham. And I think the connection and the love between academy players and parent clubs in like West Ham and with the fans is just so much greater. And of course, the other bonus is they don't cost anything. You put years and years of effort into them on the training pitch, but they don't cost anything. It doesn't cost us a single penny, realistically, to take a punt on Divin Mubama tonight. I'm recording this the day of the West Ham Arsenal match. We literally lose no money, nothing on giving Divin Mubama 60 minutes. And what a statement that would be as well. You turn down a flashy contract at West Ham. It's very clear that you want some game time. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to prove to you that we value you. You're going to start against Arsenal. Why not? What if we hit the ground running and all of a sudden we don't need to get a striker in January? We've got a striker who's scoring week in, week out. Yeah, I get that David Moyes wants to bed players in, and a lot of the time, these young players, like if they don't hit the ground running within the first 5-10 games, then they're regarded as not being good enough. But I think there's 0 point in never giving them that chance, because if they do hit the ground running, then you've either made some profit from a transfer because another club will come in, or he wants to play for West Ham and you've got a good player in your hands. There's absolutely no point in waiting so long to bed in a player because you're scared that he's going to ruin his chance and ruin his reputation at a first team spot if they're just going to leave anyway. There's no point in doing that. And it makes 0 sense. it's like saving money for a rainy day, but the rainy day never comes. You keep saving the money, but if you never spend it, then it doesn't exist. It's not money, is it? It's gone. It's not actually valuable, you know. And it's the same with these academy players. Yes, I understand that you want to wait and bed in, and you know, there's a lot of pressure on young players to hit the ground running. But if you never give him that chance, then you might as well just not have an academy. There's 0 point. You know, if we can't play Divin Mubama when we've got Danny Ings, who's on 125k a week and should probably just be released at this point, at least leave him in January. We're already begging for a striker that we haven't been able to sign. Antonio's always injury prone. He's very hot and cold. He plays well one game. He doesn't play well the other game. You know, if he can't get into this West Ham side at the moment, you know, it's not like Antonio scoring week in, week out. Like, I get he's valuable for the side, and I totally agree with the value that he puts into our style of play. But it's not like he's scoring week in, week out. It's not like Danny Ings is coming off the bench and putting in really good performances. How is Mubama not getting a chance in this side? It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. And like I say, it's the same story. Grady Diangana did amazing for West Ham in pre-season, had a connection with Haller. They were doing so many goal involvements. We sold him, and you know, we bought essentially Ben Rama. Fair enough. You tell me if he would have done well at West Ham. I can't prove it, right? He did very well at West Brom in the Premier League. Then they sort of fell flat, and now he's not doing too well over there. Harrison Ashby, he's gone to Newcastle. Fair enough, he's not starting over there. But, you know, we never gave him that chance either. You know, we never did. And we're crying out for a right back at the moment, and we didn't start him. Josh Cullen was one of the best midfielders in the Championship last season. He's now in Vincent Kompany's side. He played for him for Anderlecht, and he's now playing the Premier League. Cool, Burnley aren't doing too well, but who's to say he would have done better at West Ham, you know? You've got so many players over the years that have done quite well. And to be fair, all I will say is none of the players that we have let go have hit the ground running and just become starters in the Premier League. You know, none of them have. So you look at that in that perspective and you say, okay, well, you know, you want to sit here and moan Moyes, but maybe they were just never good enough. Maybe they just weren't good enough and we sold them on for profit, and we did the right thing in doing that, because you can't name me a single West Ham academy player in the recent years that has not had the chance at West Ham, left and done really well. And yeah, cool, I hold my hands up and say you probably can't, but it doesn't matter. What matters is you never know when that next academy player is going to come about. You never know if Divin Mubama is going to start playing for West Ham, start scoring 5, 10, 15 goals a season. You genuinely never know. You really do never know, right, how players are going to do when they start for the club. So wouldn't you rather take that? I mean, like I say, it's free. There's no harm in doing it. You give him the chance. If he doesn't do well, then fair enough. You can say, well, we gave you the chance. You're obviously not ready for this kind of sort of commitment. So if you want to go somewhere else, go somewhere else. Or just loan him out. If you have no, like, Mubama was promised at the start of the season, like in the press, you know, but David Moyes wasn't shy about saying it, that Mubama would get a lot of game time this season, that he didn't want him to move on to another club or get a loan move because he wanted to use him this season. Well, Moyes, we're about 14 games in, you know. He hasn't played a minute of football at all. You know, not in the EFL Cup, not in the Europa League, not in the Premier League, not come off the bench. I mean, well, to be fair, he might have played a couple minutes. I don't know if that's entirely true. I think he's probably played a couple of minutes in the EFL Cup. He hasn't started for West Ham, I know that for sure. But, you know, you barely used him. You know, imagine being told, you know, saying to David Moyes, oh, look, Moyes, you know, I'm young. I'm in a good run of form. I feel like I could play for you guys. But if you don't want me to play this season, I want to go out and get some experience. I want to play football. I'm sick of sitting on the sidelines. It's my time to play football. And he's gone, right, yeah, I hear you. I listen to you. I don't want you to go somewhere else. You're going to be important for us this season. You're going to play minutes this season. And then seeing someone like Danny Ings come off. I know he wasn't on the bench against Everton. Not entirely sure why. But even so, why is Danny Ings getting starts in Europa League? Why is he getting starts in EFL Cup? When we have Mubama, we could see what he does. You know, we could just give him a chance. And it's just going to be the same old story again. And yeah, Mubama might not go on and do something, but it's just depressing as a West Ham fan that these academy players that we've got, you know, and the key part of that whole story for me is that there might now be a trend of academy players saying, well, do you know what? If Mubama's not getting a chance, I probably won't get a chance. It's time to think about my football and leave somewhere else. You know, there's no reason why players won't start to think, I don't actually think there's a place for me at West Ham anymore. And considering we're supposed to be the academy of football, you know, if you look at Chelsea and you're in that academy, you're thinking, in a season, I could be starting at Chelsea. Really, I really could. If you're Man City, you know that if it's a cup or whatever, you play there for years, Guardiola is going to reward you. You know, Oscar Bob, Rico Lewis, you know, loads of different players. Phil Foden, of course, as well. He was so patient on Phil Foden, and when he actually played him, he was at the level and played really well. United as well. You know, Hannibal, Garnacho, Rashford, of course, as well. You know, they do play these players a little bit as well, and just sort of bed them in a little bit. You might think to yourself, I go to Manchester United as an academy player, I will get a chance here. Chelsea, City, Liverpool. I mean, come on, Liverpool as well. We've got Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott. You know, there's so many big clubs at least give their players a chance. I think if you have a choice of going to a West Ham academy, you're sitting there thinking, I just don't think there's a place for me here. I could literally be here for 7 or 8 years, you know, from a child, from sacrifice all of my childhood to play for West Ham. I get up to the level, I work my way up, I do everything possible. I score every single goal I can score in the younger levels. I go up to the first team in pre-season. I do absolutely everything I can do in pre-season there. And then all of a sudden, you know, you said, oh, you're going to be used this season and you don't even get a shot. You don't even get a chance to play for West Ham. And it's just mental. I just think it really just ruins the whole culture of the club, what West Ham are about. It's really frustrating. And whether it's a Moyes thing or a Sullivan thing or whatever it is, I don't know. But hopefully, Divin Mubama will get some game time and we will have a U-turn on it and be able to sign him a new contract, because I actually think he's the brightest talent besides Declan Rice that I've seen in a very long time. And, you know, what we've done with Freddie Potts, you know, he's gone to Wickham and he's absolutely smashing it for Wickham. But I just know for a fact that when he comes back to the club, there will be no chance of him getting any first-team football. So hopefully the Mubama situation is sorted. I'm not too hopeful on it, but obviously, like X says, we will bring you the news when we have it. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think that Moyes is the issue with these academy players? What do you think we can do to avoid it? Am I being harsh? You know, or not harsh enough? Does Mubama deserve a chance in this West Ham side? Like I say, we'll report everything as soon as we hear it, and I'll see you on the next one.